Hi, this is Alex, and if you love music, well, you've come to the right place because we're all about albums. Before I get to which albums I think sound fantastic on headphones, I first want to get some terminology out of the way. First, you may have heard the term IEM, which stands for in-ear monitor, and those are the headphones that go obviously in your ear canals. Then you have two other headphones. One is called on-ear, which just is on top of the ear but not surrounding the ear. And then you have what's called the over-ear headphones, which of course, by what it says, is that it covers the entire ear. And these are some of the more common headphones you see out there. Now, there is a subcategory, isn't there always? And that is with the on-ear or over-ear headphones, you can have both open or closed headphones. So what do we mean by open headphones? Well, that is that the sound can actually come out of the headphones because it's not sealed by ear cups on either side. And then you obviously have closed headphones where there is material covering the outer portion of the headphone with no ability for the sound to leak out. So we have open headphones which have music which leaks out into the surrounding environment, whereas closed headphones do not. So are there any sound differences between open and closed? Well, sure, there are. A lot of people like to buy the open headphones. The open back headphones have an airier sound, and also you have a larger sound stage. It sounds like the music is outside of your head rather than in your head. However, these headphones are not great when there is outside noise, so these headphones typically should be used in a home environment. The closed back headphones obviously are better suited for on the go, on the road. Now, these headphones, however, are not quite as airy sounding, and also these headphones typically will have the sound seem to come from inside your head rather than outside. However, there are some high-end companies now that have come up with some technical changes to the closed back headphones to make it sound like the sound is coming from outside of your head. So with the new technology, the quality of the sound of the closed back headphones is coming closer to that of open back headphones. And obviously we even have a caveat to those subcategories, which is the hybrid design, which is a semi-open back headphone. And this can be seen with the AudioQuest Nighthawk headphones. Also, headphones have a right and a left side. And why is this important? Well, because the music recorded on the album would be inverted if you had the headphone ear cups on the wrong side. Now, this can be cumbersome, as you know. Sometimes it's very difficult to see where the R and the L is. However, if you see a red color either on the cable or on the headphone cup itself, this designates the right, and this is by convention. So right is red. Here is an example of an ear-to-ear monitor where you can see a symbol in red color designates that this is the right in-ear monitor, whereas this one in white color is obviously then the left. Now, I'm not here to review headphones. However, I will tell you what I look for in a headphone. And there are three things that I look for. First off is comfort. For me, this is the most important thing. Listen, headphones can be quite pricey. They can be in the hundreds and even thousands of dollars. So if you can't wear them because they're uncomfortable after 10 or 15 minutes, what's the point? So for me, comfort is the most important thing. Now, which headphones are comfortable? Well, everybody's ear is different. Even the internal canals of the ear for an in-ear monitor are different. Mine happen to be rather small, and therefore I have a lot of trouble with in-ear monitors and are thus uncomfortable. To combat this problem, you can actually have in-ear monitors that are fitted for you. And this takes a little while. You have to go to either an audiologist that is certified to do this, or at some audio shows they will do that. And I had that done in these in-ear monitors that I showed before. These are actually sculptured for my inner ear canals, which makes it much more comfortable and would allow me to listen to music for several hours at a time without any discomfort. Next up is the sound quality. As you can see, sound is after comfort, as I had explained why, but with sound, I also want a comfortable sound. Now, what do I mean by comfortable sound? I do not like headphones that have so much detail in the highs that it becomes uncomfortable for the ear and you get listener fatigue. Same is true with the bass. I do not like a boomy bass, a bass that is increased just to have loud bass. I find this also quite fatiguing and it does give me headaches, and I take off the headphones right away if the bass is rather boomy. So what I'm looking for is headphones that have a smooth, clear, and natural sound quality. These sound qualities should have controlled highs as well as a tight, well-defined bass. And finally, the third important point is build quality. Obviously, if you're paying top dollar for headphones, you want to make sure they're going to last. So in that regard, you want to actually see the headphones, try them on, and read some reviews to see what other people think about the headphones, if they fell apart or had some problems shortly down the road. So how did I listen to the albums that I ended up picking for headphones? Well, what I did was I streamed music either using Apple Music or Tidal. I was listening at CD quality, which is 16-bit 48. I used 3 different headphones. First, I used the Apple AirPod, and this is the new AirPods 3. So this would obviously be a wireless headphone. Next, I used these beautiful Mr. Speaker's Ion Flow headphones. These are closed-back headphones, and Mr. Speaker's changed their name recently to Dan Clark Audio. So if you want to look it up, it's under Dan Clark Audio. And notice, like I said before, the cable is red, so therefore this is the right ear cup. Pretty easy, huh? Since I was using an in-ear monitor that was wireless, I decided to also use an in-ear monitor that was wired. And here we have the Campfire company, and this is their Andromeda in-ear monitor. So I used the AirPods 3, which is a Bluetooth in-ear monitor with EQ correction. I used a wired over-ear headphone, which is closed back. And finally, I used a wired in-ear monitor. With the Andromeda in-ear monitors, I hooked that up to my iPhone using this dongle with a USB, and then this product here, which is the Dragonfly Cobalt Edition made by AudioQuest. And this is what we call a DAC. So for those of you out there who don't know what a DAC is, a DAC stands for Digital to Analog Converters. Now, what this does is it takes the digital signal that you find in computers, tablets, and phones, and it converts it into a signal that headphones can recognize, and that is an analog signal. You're probably saying, well, when I hook up my headphones directly to my laptop or my phone or even my tablet, I get sound. So why do I need an external DAC? Well, yes, you're right. All of these products have to have a DAC built inside, an internal DAC. However, I would tell you that these DACs are very inexpensive, cheaply made, and because they are internal, can pick up all sorts of vibrations and other moving parts inside these electronic devices that can cause what's known as jitter. So in audio, jitter refers to the degradation of the sound quality due to problems of time distortion between the digital and the analog domains. For further reading, you can go to moonaudio.com, which has a very nice explanation of jitter if you want to learn a little bit more about it. Okay, let's get down to it. Which are the albums that I selected that sound great on headphones? And my first one, we're going to do classical, and I picked Andre Previn conducting the London Symphony Orchestra performing the Tchaikovsky Nutcracker Suite. Now, I picked this because even though you may not like classical, everyone, due to the holidays, knows the Nutcracker Suite, or at least has heard it in commercials or otherwise. So with a good pair of headphones, I think you'll be shocked at how much detail, information, and how much more you will enjoy the Nutcracker Suite before you easily dispense with it because, hey, it's just Christmas music. Moving on to jazz, although most jazz albums would sound pretty darn good with headphones, especially those on a good label such as Impulse or Mercury or Verve or even Blue Note Records. However, I would pick Timeout by the Dave Brubeck Quartet. Now, I picked this album because not only is it a very popular album, it is very accessible. And I think for those of you people who aren't jazz fans, I think you'd really enjoy this album, especially with a good headphone. What you're going to find is fantastic interplay between the four musicians, and you're going to hear cymbals and saxophone like you've never heard it before. Along the jazz vein, although not truly jazz music, is the great Joe Jackson album, Body and Soul. Now, this album is super well recorded, so that's one that I would have included on my list of best sounding albums to show off your stereo system. So that's a good one, whether you have headphones or not. Now, with headphones, this is a real experience. You can't help but stand up and dance to this one when you have headphones on. This is truly a remarkable album. For those of you who haven't heard this Joe Jackson album, please do yourself a favor, go out there and listen to it. Moving on to the pop sound, I go back to one of my favorite albums, Stevie Wonder's Innervisions. Now, this album, you would say, why would I want to listen to this with headphones? On the surface, I'd agree with you. I mean, this album does not have any fireworks going on, or really heavy guitar or soaring vocals or anything that really would stand out. But I was super surprised about this album. I really thought I knew this album, but I really never listened to this album with a good pair of headphones. And when I did, the recording came to life. I saw how intricately detailed this album is and how fantastic the mix is. I really recommend you listen to Innervisions by Stevie Wonder with headphones. I know a lot of you out there know this album quite well, but let me tell you, with headphones, it's a totally different experience. And another album just like it would be Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. This is very similar. It is a pop soul album and is also extremely well recorded and would be extremely enjoyable on headphones. Moving on to rock music, I think that one of the great bands of the 60s, The Doors, sound fantastic when you listen to their LA Woman album. If you listen to the song LA Woman or Riders on the Storm, it is very impressive and it really takes you places. All Doors albums are well recorded, but especially LA Woman. One of the things I heard with the headphones on LA Woman was the sensational drumming that I never really appreciated until I put on a pair of headphones. Next, I move on to an iconic album that everyone knows and I've spoken about ad nauseum, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. I think this album has a very spacey sound that really comes to life with headphones. Also, all the sound effects that you hear on this album really become a little bit more spooky, especially with the lights off. I think you'd jump out of your seat on a couple parts of the album with headphones. Dark Side of the Moon is on every list of great album. And again, why not this album with headphones? Check it out, it's amazing. Another band that is extremely well recorded, and I love the guitar sound, but you really get to appreciate the musicianship of the band when you listen to this album, and that is Dire Straits' album, Love Over Gold. This album has some sound effects with thunder and lightning, especially rain, and it sounds very realistic with headphones. This is a great album in and of itself, but with headphones, it really takes it to the next level. And finally, I have an album that I love. It's one of my guilty pleasures, and it is the album by Ambrosia, Somewhere I've Never Traveled. This album sounds as fresh today as it did back in the 70s when it first came out. Who is Ambrosia? Well, if you know Alan Parsons, and Alan Parsons had some famous albums, especially I, Robot, they were the project. Yes, the four musicians of Ambrosia were the project on the Alan Parsons project. This album contains soaring vocals, fantastic orchestration, and some of the songs actually should be not only on Broadway, but Broadway can take some lessons from a couple of the songs, especially one particular song, Cowboy Star. Finally, this album also has many great rock songs, as well as the introduction, which has a very airy, ethereal sound. Because of all these things I spoke about, I think Somewhere I've Never Traveled is one of the truly great albums to listen to with headphones. Obviously, this is a very short list. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of great albums to listen to with headphones. Why don't you tell me which are your favorites in the comment section below? And how do I know that there's many, many great albums out there, several which I've never heard of? Well, let's just take Apple Music. Their library contains 50 million songs. Now, if an average album has 10 songs, now we're talking about 5 million records. If I've listened to, let's say, 10,000 records in my lifetime, and 1% is 50,000 records, and I only listen to 10,000 of them, that's 0.2% of all the albums out there I've listened to. So obviously I'm missing quite a few gems out there. So what are my recommendations? Well, first off, make sure you have a really good sounding quality headphones, which is comfortable. Whether they're in-ear monitors or over-ear or on-ear monitors, it doesn't matter. Whichever is comfortable for you and those that you think sound great. Now I warn you, sometimes headphones can bring out blemishes because they lay out what's there. Nothing is hiding with good quality headphones. Also remember, there are multiple versions of albums out there. Try to listen to the best quality you can. That not only goes for if you want to listen to a high resolution file, which typically sounds better, but also you can look for some remastering. Now, not all remasters sound great. Sometimes the original is better and the remaster just takes the life out of the music. I've seen several examples of this. You need to have an experienced person behind the mastering of the album that understands the band's intent. So who should you look for on the mastering side? I've mentioned some of these names before, but here we go. Hopefully this list is a little bit more inclusive and I don't leave out any of your favorite mastering engineers. We have Kevin Gray, Bernie Grunman, Bob Katz, Bob Ludwig, Ryan Smith, and Greg Calby. There are some great mastering engineers who are female, and some of them are up and coming, and I thought you should know their names. These would include Emily Lazar, Susan Rogers, Mandy Parnell, and Shani Gandhi. And now for last video's unknown album, the first unknown album. This is Living in the Material World by George Harrison. This is the follow-up album to his great album, All Things Must Pass. This album came out in 1973 and reached #1 on the charts here in the United States. This album is on the Apple label, and this album sold 500,000 copies, meaning it was certified gold within 2 days. Remarkable. As the title of the album suggests, this album deals with Harrison's struggle between his spirituality and his rock superstar status. The collaborators on this album are sort of a who's who. You have Nicky Hopkins, you have Gary Wright, you have Klaus Voormann. Ringo appeared on this album, as well as the great Jim Keltner on drums, and the Indian musician Zakir Hussain. This album is highly regarded as one of George's best albums and is a worthy successor to his All Things Must Pass album. This album was reissued in 2006 and included 2 bonus tracks. The second unknown album is called A Question of Balance by the Moody Blues. This is the 6th studio album by the band, and this album was released in 1970 on the Decca label. This album reached number 3 on the US charts and number 1 on the UK charts. This is a progressive rock album with some folk rock elements. The album cover art is by Philip Travers. Much like Hypnosis is associated with Pink Floyd, Philip Travers is associated with the Moody Blues, and he designed 6 of their album covers. One of the unique features of this album is that the cover opens top to bottom rather than side to side. The album cover shows people relaxing at the beach on a beautiful day, and yet in the sky and on the horizon there are things that are coming that are ominous, and the people are unaware of what is going on. This album was remastered in 2006 on SACD and later remastered in 2008 on CD, and this included 6 bonus tracks. And now for this video's unknown album. The first unknown album. Great, hope you got that one. The second unknown album. Okay, hope you got that one too. As always, if you know the answer, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll let you know how you did. As always, this is Alex with All About Albums. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, and remember, keep them spinning.